Hi there, Greg DuPont here from the law offices DuPont and Blumenstiel. And I wanted to take a moment here and talk about taxes in an estate and planning for an estate. See, there basically are just a handful of taxes that can apply in an estate. We can potentially have the estate tax for a federal level or the estate tax for a state level. If we've done things incorrectly, we might have some capital gains, but that's typically not an issue because of what's called the step up in basis. And then we have potentially income taxes in an estate. Now, for most consumers, the federal estate tax threshold is high enough now that there's not really a concern for that. But if you do have enough assets to qualify for a federal estate tax situation, understand that it kicks in at about 40%. That's 40%. So when the tax laws change, which is inevitable, we know that the Tax Cut and Job Act will expire here in 2025, then things are going to revert to whatever level at that point in time. So keep an eye on that. But what I would focus on is income taxes and income taxes in an estate, specifically when you inherit from an estate. You see, income tax with regard to estates falls into two things. What are the taxes that are due when the person passed away, and what taxes may be due on the inherited asset? And that's where income taxes are the silent killer of life savings. Because what most people don't realize is when they have $1 million in their IRA, well, there is tax that will need to be paid on that at some point in time. Now, if we have a typical spousal situation where one of the spouses dies and it goes to the other spouse, then the tax structure doesn't really change. It gets to continue on the same way as when the person passed away. Now, when that second person dies, or if there was no spouse, that's when it really gets challenging. That's when Uncle Sam comes knocking and says, hey, I want my cut. And that cut is typically very substantial. Because what's going to happen in that? Right now, the beneficiary has 10 years to take that money out. So let's say that it's $1 million that's in there. And it's going to one of your children. One of your children that's already got a decent job, making six figures. Well, next thing you know, they got an additional $100,000 of income on top of that, which is going to push their tax bracket up, which is essentially going to put them in the 40% bracket. So you saved your whole life, you've taken the risk, and now you have some money there. Do you want the IRS to get 40% of it? The answer typically is no. And sound estate planning takes that into consideration. See, problems have prices. And the sooner that we can address the tax issues, whether they are estate taxes or income taxes, the sooner and more efficiently and less costly we can deal with that problem. And that's what sound estate planning does. Take care. Be well.